the fact that we're not supported anyway is discrimination.
So I've got with me two of Team GB's medal hopefuls for the upcoming Deaflympics. And we've got Charlotte, who's 15 years old and going to her first Deaflympics. Thanks for joining us, Charlotte.
Nice to see you.
And Nathan as well, who is a Deaflympics bronze medalist already, multiple British Championship titles as well. And he will be going for more medals at this Deaflympics. Thanks so much for coming in to chat about something that I'll be honest, I was quite ignorant about. I hadn't kind of registered.
Yeah, not many people know much about it at all. No.
Deaflympics was so separate to.
Yeah, people presume that we have the category in the Paralympics or all the paraswimming, but we're not involved in any of that at all. No.
And so the Deaflympics is smaller than the Paralympics in terms of the number of events. Tell us a bit, Nathan, about what else goes on at the Deaflympics apart from swimming.
So the Deaflympics has been around for over 100 years now, so it's been going along.
So it predates the Paralympics.
Yeah, it predates by about 30, 40 years, so it's massive, but obviously, yes, not many people like yourself hadn't really heard of Deaflympics, and that is massively due to the funding. So obviously Paralympics has grown and grown and grown over sort of recent history. But that really in Great Britain only came in 2012 when the government decided to make a big emphasis on Olympics and Paralympics. So since then it's grown, but obviously we've just sort of been left behind, and so we are trying to grow.
You're trying to change the funding model in a way, because can you explain a little bit about where the money comes from then for Deaflympics and how you support yourselves?
So so in terms of funding for Deaflympics, we get absolutely no funding. So I've been, as you've mentioned, I've been to a previous Deaflympics plus 8 international competitions, and that's all been self-funded by myself and the amazing community and family that I have. So over the sort of the past 8 competitions, I've had to raise about £26,000. So compare that to a Paralympic athlete, they get sort of money from the government and also national lottery of over like 600 million over a 4-year cycle. And Deaflympics been going along longer than the Paralympics, gets 0.
So do you train, Charlotte, with Paralympians?
No, there's no talent pathways at all. There's nothing. We're like within the Deaf Swimming Club, we meet up together, and that's about as much as we've had, except for just meeting up to talk about Deaflympics with the rest of the athletes. But yeah, it's all self-funded, like through doing fundraising, all of that. That's the only way we can get money to.
So you started out swimming at just your local swimming clubs, had a talent for it. Did you know there was a possibility to swim in the Deaflympics when you...
I have to be honest, I didn't really know much about Deaflympics until maybe even last year. Like, it honestly wasn't even... I thought I'd have to swim with all the able-bodied swimmers, and that was the only way that I could ever... So it's totally new to me, to be honest.
And Nathan, how did you come across your path? How did you find out about it?
So it's the same story, really. So I was only 14 when I found out, so I've been deaf my whole life, and to me to find out about Deaflympics at 14 is quite sad, really. And I think it just shows the state of, the funding in this country and how it's represented.
So how does it compare to other countries and the way they treat their deaf athletes?
So there are a lot of countries that get government funding. So we'll be going to Japan that get money, get Ukraine. So you've got a lot of the European countries, they get funding. So yeah, there are a lot of countries, and you can see it. Obviously, Charlotte will be going in less than 15 days now, and she'll see the size of the clubs that come with the entourage of physios, coaches, and staff, and
So you have been quite active in trying to change the way that your sport is, or that the organisation is financed. Tell us a bit about what you've been doing with government.
So about 1,520 days ago, I started campaigning on social media, and over that period of time, I've found out that it was eventually the government that can change this funding policy. That's how it started, and then eventually, I think it was just over a few weeks ago, we got to sit in front of the DCMS Select Committee. So hopefully they will basically then give their recommendations. So this was about funding for Deaflympics and elite sport and deaf.
And what was your argument with them? What were you asking for?
We were asking for them to give us 3 million out of such a small chunk of this.
And that would come from the Paralympic budget, would it?
I don't think it would be Paralympic budget. I think it would just be like a little I'm not sure how they would do it. I think it'd be like a little separate strand, I suppose, but it comes from the government. But also, it's not just, that's not where the Paralympic and Olympics get their money from. It's also the National Lottery.
Do you not get anything from the National Lottery?
We get nothing from National Lottery, and they say, as well as many other companies, they say that it's the policy, this white paper policy that the government seem to have, is that we're not on this list.
So this list influences who the National Lottery then allocate their funds to. So you would like to be part of that list.
Exactly. So we go to many other companies, car companies, anything, and say, can you please sponsor us? We're only asking for such a small chunk.
3 million over 4 years.
Over 4 years, a small chunk. And so that's what we're asking for. But again, it comes back to, you're not on this list.
Mm-hmm.
But so then that's where it came to. We have to go and campaign the government.
And presumably it would help if the coverage of the Deaflympics was
exactly
kind of raised up a little bit.
Yeah.
And people like me who work in sport had an idea that it was even going on. Where does it actually get covered? Where do you see it?
Well, for the Deaflympics this year, it's being covered by, is it Limo TV? That's about it. I mean, it's not being covered on any major channels or anything, so the only way you'd be able to watch it is through the small channel that are covering it.
But we should kind of find out about it in the mainstream media, shouldn't we? And
exactly.
I guess you've got the opportunity with things like Instagram and X to
Yeah.
get the message over there and to talk about what you're doing and what you're achieving. How will Team GB do in the Deaflympics?
Well, we aim high. So I think, obviously I was a previous Deaflympic medalist. In 2017, we obviously missed the next one because of COVID. So I'm hopefully trying to get on that podium again. I'm sure Charlotte.
Yeah, it'd be amazing to get on the podium. Yeah.
And it will help, of course, raise the profile.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how many will there be in total in your team for swimming?
I think it's about 10, isn't it?
So
yeah,
it's quite small. It's quite small.
It's quite a small team. Yeah.
But compared to previously, it was only sort of the last World Championships in Argentina. There was 2 of us, and the previous ones before that, three competitions, I went on my own.
Right.
So the fact that we've got a young team coming through, it's about keeping that and giving them the support to keep on going into later ages and achieve.
And Charlotte, I hear that there's a world record pending.
Well, it hasn't been ratified yet, but I have broken it. Yeah, it'd be really amazing.
Which world record was that for?
It's the 200 backstroke, but it's a short course.
Right.
So it's not, the Deaflympics is long course. It's not the same distance, but I have broken it twice now. So it's just taking a while to be processed and stuff. Yeah.
And in terms of the deaf community and what this means for you, as somebody, as you say, Nathan, you were born deaf, to have role models and to see people, kind of in society doing things with similar challenges. Explain what that means to you.
I think it means a lot because obviously, like I said, I was born deaf and I didn't have that deaf role model. And I think, growing up, I was born deaf and then I was losing my hearing quite rapidly to the point where I was 15 and had no hearing. Then I got the cochlear implants. To have maybe a deaf role model that I could have looked up to and maybe said that, everything's going to be okay. And it would have made me feel more reassured in myself and probably given me a lot more confidence. Maybe things would have been different, but sport's given me so much and I know what it could give to Charlotte and give to many others for the rest of their lives.
And Charlotte, for those who kind of are wondering what the differences are for you guys in a competitive environment and why you wouldn't compete within the Olympics, just to explain the adaptations that are needed.
For training, it's definitely obviously, I don't swim with my hearing aids in, so I can't hear very well in the pool and training. So obviously there's adaptations that the coaches make, so it makes training more difficult. And then in terms of racing, obviously when you're swimming, there's a noise to start the race, like a beep, and we wouldn't be able to hear that, so we use a light. So it's that's the disadvantage, and then just the disadvantage in training makes it difficult in general. So you feel a bit like everyone that's able-bodied has a better chance at getting better because their training is easier, and they obviously with the start at some lower level competitions in the UK there isn't even a light, they don't have the opportunity, so some younger swimmers that they might even not have the opportunity of using a light at the moment, and that puts them at a disadvantage.
Right. So those are the things that in competition we'd see being quite different. And I imagine across other sports there are other challenges as well. When you're in the water, there's kind of once you're swimming.
No, it's not really that. it's not really that big of a difference to an able-bodied swimmer. It's just the starting and the training, I guess.
And is there sign language used around the competition?
Yeah, so it's actually an amazing thing to witness, and I think, you know, Charlotte being her first competition, I'm looking forward to seeing the younger swimmers witness it, because obviously I've been to a few, and, you know, obviously if you go to another country as a hearing person, you can't really talk to other people, but in sort of the deaf world, you obviously use sign language, but there's a thing called the international sign language, which I obviously picked up a little bit over the years, and to witness that I can talk to someone from Japan that we don't speak the same language, but we can sign and we can have not a full-on competition, but we can sort of get our points across. And some of my best mates are from, well, my best mates actually got me to get him an Abbey Road cap to take back to Argentina as my best mate, and he's obviously speaks I think it's Portuguese over there. I can have a full-on signing competition.
Spanish, is it?
Is it Spanish or Portuguese? Yeah. So yeah, signing's such an amazing language, and you know, it's an amazing experience.
Do you sign anyway?
Oh no, I was quite lucky. I can speak because my hearing's not as bad as some people, but I'm definitely going to have to try and pick some up before I go, because like Nathan says, it'll be amazing to be able to communicate with all the different athletes.
So in terms of the officials around as well, I presume you have to lip read as well.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. So obviously at the international competition, it's all interpreters. You've got the interpreters there, but yeah, in this country it's a bit difficult when we're at a racing competition, because you are having to sort of rely on all the sensors, obviously sight. When we go to race in this country, we only have this one light that flashes when to go. So when we're on the block, we don't hear the whistle to get up on the block. We don't hear the take your mark. So I don't know how Charlotte does it.
It relies on being very aware of everyone else. You've got to be thinking, I don't realise it a lot, but actually I'm looking, every time someone's speaking, I'm looking at their face and I'm lip reading them, and then I'll be aware of what the other swimmers are doing, because otherwise you just will miss out on things. Or
And as a kid, when you have something that is an extra challenge to overcome compared to, say, your peers in your class at school, describe for us what it's like then when you find you have a talent in a sport and what it means.
Well, I think it's quite like comforting almost, because it feels like as if the hearing loss isn't like the end all. It's like not as if, there's certainly times when you think you're missing out on lots of things, but I think swimming, because it's an individual sport as well, I find it a lot easier than competing in team sports, and it feels a lot like it's all on me and I don't have to rely on everyone else. So definitely I find it comforting, like when I go swimming I don't have to worry about like listening to people, because I'm just under the water and it's just like blocked out. So it's really nice, and going to the Deaflympics will be nice to be surrounded by people who feel the same way.
And like anybody in sport, when you feel you're good at something, your self-esteem is given such a boost.
Exactly. Yeah. So obviously, yeah, like I mentioned before, growing up, and obviously the self-esteem being low, having that space where you can just, because obviously listening, it's really challenging going to school all day and having to lip read, as well as, you know, being able to communicate with people. Having that space away is definitely
it's quite a lot of effort actually, like, because at school especially you're trying to listen and take in the information, and it takes a lot of effort actually. People don't realise that.
And UK Sport have sent us this statement. We understand the frustration of athletes targeting the Deaflympics, but our remit is specifically focused on investing in sports and athletes who are eligible to compete at the Olympic and Paralympic Games. However, it is important to note that where there are deaf athletes who meet other eligibility criteria that enables them to compete in the Olympic and Paralympic sports, we would of course support them. So I don't know what you make of that, whether that you feel there's any kind of hope or movement there that you will get what you want.
So obviously from that response, the first thing is that when you refer to people having being deaf, but they have no additional disability, they're not in the Paralympics because of the deafness. Deafness is not the disability that allows them to be part of the Paralympics. So obviously hearing that's disappointing. The Deaflympics has been going on over 100 years, as I said before, and at the end of the day, I think that the fact that we're not supported anyway is discrimination. I think the fact that we're isolated in all our, growing up, we're isolated from sports, from society, and this is just another example of how we're being isolated. And obviously my campaign and going to the, DCMS, and they literally took everything we said, and they were really positive about what we were saying. They completely agree with us. So the fact that,
Yeah, and just to reiterate as well, you can't wear hearing aids while competing in the Paralympics. So unless serious adaptations were made to help integrate deaf athletes.
It's not as if we have some advantage by the fact that we can hear in our daily lives when we're doing the sport. It's not as if we can suddenly hear everything like able-bodied people. It feels as if they single out the disability and say, actually, your disability isn't like everyone else in the Paralympics, so no, we're not going to allow you to compete with them, basically.
And going on, like, in society, we get, personal independence, we get support in school, get extra time. In society, we are considered disabled, but as soon as it comes to sport, all of a sudden, actually, you're okay. You can get by without the support, and I think that's just a disappointing thing to hear.
So on a positive, let's finish on a positive. It's coming up in the next few weeks. You're going out to Japan. Based in which city? Tokyo. Oh my gosh! I mean, that is an assault on the senses. Going to Tokyo anyway, in terms of what you will see, what you will, the whole experience in terms of the food and the culture there is just fantastic. So you'll have an amazing time, I'm sure. And best of luck. Bring it home. Bring home the medals.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Sports Agents
with Gabby Logan and Mark Chapman.